welcome to this daily video devotional. I wanted to take us into the book of Genesis. There is so much in the book of Genesis that sometimes we skip over, especially parts that are part of bigger, more familiar stories, and this is just one of those. We're all familiar, at least in part, with the story of Noah. Noah and the flood, Noah and the ark, whatever you want to call it. In fact, I've been to baby showers in which that's the theme, is Noah's Ark, because it's somehow been turned into a children's story. But around it, and even within it, are some parts that maybe we would leave out of children's books. This is just one of them. This comes from Genesis chapter 9, starts with verse 18. It says this. This is after they have settled from the flood. Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, came out of the ark. Now Ham was Canaan's father. These were Noah's 3 sons, and from them the whole earth was populated. Now automatically you've noticed one of those names, right? Canaan. Canaan's father is Ham. Noah, a farmer, made a new start and planted a vineyard. He drank some of the wine, became drunk, and took off his clothes and his tent. Ham, Canaan's father, saw his father naked and told his 2 brothers who were outside. Shem and Japheth took a robe, threw it over their shoulders, walked backward, and covered their naked father without looking at him because they turned away. When Noah woke up from the wine, he discovered that his youngest son had done to him. He said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest servant. He will be for his brothers." He also said, "Bless the Lord, the God of Shem. Canaan will be his servant. May God give space to Japheth. He will live in Shem's tents, and Canaan will be his servant." After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. In all, Noah lived 950 years, then he died. When we read that, sometimes we get caught up in the ending, right? The age of Noah, that's seemingly impossible. But I don't think that's what the author intends us to focus on. I think the author intends for us to focus on the curse that Noah lays not on Ham, who seemed to have done the social faux pas of seeing his father naked, but on his son, on Canaan. We know what Canaan is. Not the person, but the people. They're the land that the Israelites eventually take over. They're the people that are instructed to no longer be part of Israel's family or interaction. Even in the Gospels, we meet a woman who is identified as a Canaanite woman. Canaan was the recipient of this curse. Was the curse real? I mean, it seems as though it played out in this way. Was it hindsight 2020 that we can look back and see that the author tried to explain why it was that Canaan was to be the lowest of the lowest? We don't really know. But somehow we have to grapple with this, that Noah, who was identified as the most righteous man living in a broken world, would lay a curse on his grandson just for the actions of his father. What are we supposed to glean from that? What are we supposed to gain from that? Part of me wonders if what we're supposed to take from that is that maybe Noah isn't as righteous as we might want to think. I know folks in my life who I think a lot of. I tend to lift them up on a pedestal. I tend to think of them maybe better than I ought. Not because they're really bad people underneath a disguise, but because they're not perfect. Did Noah, in his anger, overreact? Maybe that's what we're supposed to take from it. Or maybe we're supposed to glean from it a reminder that our actions have great impact, not just on us, but on others. When we act in a way that doesn't care for our neighbor, sometimes we receive the consequence of that. But sometimes, and maybe more often, others bear the weight of that consequence. Canaan didn't do anything in this story. His father did. And yet Canaan and Canaan's descendants and Canaan's ancestors would become those cursed. I don't know if that was the author's intention, but I think it reminds us that when we do things, when we do good things, they have positive impact on others. When we do things that are not of God, the impact is often on others. I think sometimes our culture tells us that we live and let live. Do what works for you, I'll do what works for me, and we can just all move on without ever arguing. But the problem with that is what you do does impact me. It impacts my neighbors. It impacts my family. What I do impacts you and your neighbors and your family. The things that we do impact those we've never met and those we never will meet. Maybe what we can draw from this story is that the things that we do matter. And so as we make decisions about what we will do, how we will do it, whom we will help, whom we will ignore, who deserves love, who doesn't, as we make those decisions, it's not about us. It's about others. Amen.